Oh, it's time. Hello. Welcome to another episode of my random YouTube show about random things. So, today I want to tell you guys a story, like I usually do, except this one takes place way back in my childhood. Like, we're talking the VHS era. Like, when they just came out and they were super cool. Oh, yeah. Alright, so during this time of my childhood, I lived in a different state than I live in now. Most of you that know me, well, let's be honest, you know where I live now. But I didn't live here back then. I lived up north. Oh, yes. There was snow. We lived so far up north that there was snow. Which pretty much means that it was basically anywhere but Florida. But I digress. So, when we lived in the north, it was me, my brother, my mom, my dad, and my grandma. And our house was cool. Like, there was a secret passageway, like, in the closet. Like, you open the closet, and there's, like, what's inside the closet, and then there's the back wall. But the back wall actually moved and became, like, a secret passageway into another room. I do not remember what two rooms it connected, except that the other end of it was in my grandma's room. And if we were lucky, she would let us in there and let us see that there was a secret, that there was a secret door, in the back of the closet. But that was about it. We never really, got to play around with it that I recall. I think it might have linked to our own closet, like the back of it. And if that's the case, I have absolutely no idea why we didn't play around in that more as kids, because I'm not sure I can think of anything that's cooler than a secret passageway in a closet. In a freaking closet! That's pretty cool, if you ask me. But maybe I'm just like one of those guys that loves secret compartments and, stuff that looks like it belongs in a spy movie. I digress. You can imagine, I was young. Knowing that the house had a secret passage in it, there was a part of me that wondered if there were other secret things in the house. You know me, you know where I'm heading with this. We were obviously thinking monsters. Wow, this mask is really bad. You can see my eyes through it. That's slightly embarrassing. But yeah, we were totally thinking monsters. There are certain places where you can't have a basement. Certain states, because of flooding and things. But there are states also where you can have a basement, and it's safe, and it's a good idea. We lived in one of these states when I was a child, which again is basically any of them except for Florida. All I really remember was that my brother was convinced there was a monster. And okay, he told me it was a mummy. Like, he was convinced, like, it had to be a mummy. See, but I was thinking, alright, this is an old house, and there could be some spooky stuff down there, but I don't think it's a mummy, because to have a mummy, you have to have a casket. Child me thinking. You have to have a cursed casket to have a mummy, so it cannot be a mummy. It could be a ghost. Could be a zombie. Could be a mutant monster man. Not a mummy. Could not be a mummy. Was not possible. Ironically, child me said mummies in this house are illogical. But none of the other monsters you could possibly have, like a vampire. Or a werewolf. Or even Frankenstein. Which, looking back, I probably thought it was Frankenstein more than anything else, because at least Frankenstein, like, again, child logic, could have been built by someone and could really exist. Um, so this is all building to the story. So eventually, we decided, for health reasons, for a member of my family, that we needed to move to someplace sunnier, someplace warmer. So in case you haven't figured it out by now, we moved to Florida. Like, I've been dropping hints like nobody's business. So when you move, you have to pack. You know, we decided we're going to move, and you know, when you move, you have to pack. And so I remember there were like 2 basements, all right? You have to understand. We had 2 basements. We had the finished basement, okay, and that was nice, but it was a little scary because it had like my dad's power tools and stuff everywhere. We weren't really allowed to go down there and play. And because we, A, weren't allowed to go down there and play, and B, saw all this power tools and stuff, we thought there was some, you know, maybe nasty business that went on down there. Again, kids. But then there was this other half of the basement. And we were totally allowed to go down there whenever we wanted. That was what made it so terrifying. Why would we want to go down there? A, whereas the first basement, you have to understand, it's not like a basement and then a lower basement. It was like a basement, and it was like this, and then there was a door right here that led to the second part of the basement. You have to understand, the first basement had a light right at the bottom of the stairs. Okay? Basement goes out from there, right at the bottom of the stairs, there's a light. It's perfect. It's a little scary, but you get down there, you turn the light on, everything's fine. Until you have to go to the other basement, in which case you realize there's no door handle on the door. When you open it, it closes on its own. And the light switch is in the exact middle of the room, which means I have to travel about 5 feet to get to it. Mind you, again, I'm a kid, so 5 feet to me is more like 20 feet. I still remember, my mom was like, all right, I need you to go downstairs, and I need you to pack up all the stuff that's like in the other side of the basement, you know, the dark side of the basement, and I need you to bring it upstairs. You and Michael will take turns. All right, so first trip I go down there, I open the door, okay, and I forgot that it like closed behind me. So I open the door and I walk in. I freaked out. I turned around. I grabbed the door. I ripped it open. It opened fine, of course, because, you know, I thought the monster had finally cornered me and was about to eat me. Or, I don't know, whatever monsters do. Kill people for sport? I don't know. So, I freak out, alright? This is the first time I go down in the basement. Well, not like the first time ever, but like, this is the first time for the packing experience that I go down in the basement, alright? Into the second basement. Now, for this first trip, I'm fine. Okay. Time goes on, and there's an entire day where the light is on in the second half of the basement, and I'm fine. Because I can see everything. Everything is clear. It's nice. Then comes the second day that I had to work down there. The second day I had to work down there, I had to start the job myself. I had to go down into the darkness, and I had to turn on the light switch in the middle of the room, halfway to the crypt. It wasn't a real crypt, but come on, I was a kid. I was terrified of everything down here. I thought it was a crypt. So I get down there. I open the door. Everything seems normal. I'm a little freaked out, obviously. Again, I have to walk at least halfway to the crypt to turn the light on. So I silently make my way over to where the light switch is, keeping my eyes peeled for any monster. Ironically, even though before I said that I was pretty sure I thought it was Frankenstein, I remember as a kid I was terrified of ghosts for some reason. Like any sort of like evil spirit. But like ironically, I never thought that like it would be invisible. I always imagined like, it's a floating bed sheet, you know, you know, the really poorly made cartoony ghosts that you think of. And for some reason as a kid I was terrified of that. So I get to where the light is and I'm like I'm reaching for it. I can't quite find it. All of a sudden I hear a scraping noise. I kid you not, it sounded like it was right behind me. It sounded like stone dragging on stone. Or, since I'm 5 feet away from the crypt, to me it sounds more like a zombie's foot dragging on a crypt floor. I bolted as fast as I could. I got up the stairs. I went in the kitchen. I sat down at the table, and I looked up, and I see my grandma with a box on a chair, dragging it across the kitchen floor, and I realize the kitchen floor is directly above the second basement. I completely... It was my grandma. Okay? There was no monster. My brother was convinced for years after that there was still a monster down there. There was no monster. Obviously. So that was a good time. You know me. I always like to add a moral to the end of a story. I would just like to remind you that sometimes you might look at things that happen around you and think, maybe this is happening to me because of that, or this was caused by this other thing. I would like to remind you that when Adam and Eve caused the downfall of the entire universe, the only thing Satan did was give them ideas. I'm not saying my brother is Satan. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. Just, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Crap, I did it again. I'm not supposed to be telling you guys that I live in Florida because this is YouTube, so. Take 50,080 94.